lamentation,
Vietu,
let there be,
Te,
your,
Vishalat,
by the Shudra,
Bhayam,
cause of fear,
Ma,
do not, Rodhi, cry, Amba, mother cow, Bhadram, all good, Te, unto you, Kalana, of the envious, Mai, while I am living, Shastari, the ruler or subduer. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. O son of Surabhi, you need lament no longer now. There is no need to fear this low-class Shudra. And, O mother cow, as long as I am living as the ruler and subduer of all envious men, there is no cause for you to cry. Everything will be good for you. Purport. Protection of bulls and cows and all other animals can be possible only when there is a state ruled by an executive head like Maharaj Parikshit. Maharaj Parikshit addresses the cow as mother, for he is cultured, twice born, Kshatriya king. Surabhi is the name of the cows which exist in the spiritual planets and are especially reared by Lord Krishna himself. As men are made after the form and features of the Supreme Lord, so also the cows are made after the form and features of the Surabhi cows in the spiritual kingdom. In the material world, the human society gives all protection to the human being, but there is no law to protect the descendants of Surabhi, who can give all protection to men by supplying the miracle food milk. But Maharaj Parikshit and the Pandavas were fully conscious of the importance of the cow and bull, and they were prepared to punish the cow killer with all chastisement, including death. There has sometimes been agitation for the protection of the cow, but for want of pious executive heads and suitable laws, the cow and the bull are not given protection. The human society should recognize the importance of the cow and the bull, and thus give all protection to these important animals, following in the footsteps of Maharaj Parikshit. For protecting the cows and Brahminical culture, the Lord, who is very kind to the cow and the Brahmanas, Go Brahmana Hitaya, will be pleased with us and will bestow upon us real peace. Ma Surabhi Yatra Shucho Vetu Te Vishalat Ayam Ma Rodir Amba Bhatram Te Kalana Mai Shastari. O son of Surabhi, you need lament no longer now. There is no need to fear this low class. And O mother cow, as long as I am living as the ruler and subduer of all envious men, there is no cause for you to cry. Everything will be good for you. So in Western philosophical tradition, there has been a problem for many, many, many centuries, which is called the problem of evil. This problem has developed from the roots of the Western philosophy. The roots of Western philosophy are Socratic idealism, the idealistic philosophy of Socrates. Someone has said, some scholar has said that in the West, philosophy means Socrates or Plato, and everything else is just a footnote. So, in Socratic idealism, there are some points which very closely parallel the Bhagavatam philosophy of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. In that, Socrates said that there is a world, called it a world of forms, a world of ideal forms, a transcendental realm of perfect and eternal forms. And the forms that we experience here, this gross material world, are but derivations from these ideal forms. And Socrates also said that this world of forms, ideal world, is a world of pure goodness. But the Socratic philosophy is deficient in the understanding of the actual relationship between the two. Socrates taught that this world of ideal forms should be contemplated. This is his method of understanding. It is much like the method of the jnanis or the yogis. That by contemplation, one may realize the ideal forms. And actually he will realize them within the forms of this world. You will see that behind the gross material forms, there are forms of pure goodness. Right as far as it goes, but when it comes to practicality, there is a deficiency. So what happened in Western philosophy was that for some time the philosophers were taken up by this conception of a world of pure goodness, of ideal pure forms. But we are living in this world. So then became the effort to try to understand how this world was good, the goodness within this world, because the forms of this world come from the all-good original forms. But the relationship, how actually to realize that, the goodness within this world, was not clear. That's because Socrates' philosophy is mysticism. It's not devotionalism, actually. It's mysticism. And Srila Prabhupada said, mystic means misty. The truth, although there is certainly, Prabhupada appreciated Socrates, there is certainly a lot to be said for his philosophy, but the conclusions are covered, the actual conclusion, practical conclusion of how to realize the absolute good within this world is covered by a fog of speculation. So, as philosophy developed in the West, gradually the contemplation of some ideal, perfect world was more and more pushed into the background. And trying to realize some good in this world became the main endeavor. And so this left a wide door open for demons to come in and exploit this idea. For instance, Karl Marx, Prabhupada pointed him out as one of the great demons of the modern time. So Marx preached idealism. He followed the same basic form of philosophy as taught by Socrates in the beginning. That there is some good, some transcendent good, some good outside of this world that imposes itself or must impose itself on this world. This world should be shaped according to that good. Now, of course, that good that Marx taught was dialectical materialism. It was not the Socratic good. It was Marx's own good. But Marx could do that because the good of Socrates was so unclear, and the relationship between this world and that ideal world was unclear. So Marx simply came along, like demons do, and was saying, I'll explain to you. I'll tell you what the good is. And now this world must be altered, adjusted, according to that good, which I am propagating, Marxism. So this is how the demons expand their influence. They work their way through the cracks of imperfect knowledge. When knowledge is imperfect, then there is doubt. There is bewilderment. And then the demons come forward. They take the opportunity and they come forward and say, don't worry. I'll clear up all your doubts. Just follow me. So, but in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, the good is explained in very clear terms. The good is Krishna. Actually, the word God is derived, some etymologies say the word God is associated with the word good. So God is all good, the form of pure goodness. And from his transcendental form, all the forms of this world arise. And there is a clear and very practical relationship between this world and Krishna, in that this world is meant to be engaged in Krishna's So one who does not accept, even one who is trying to conceive of some ideal world and world of pure forms, whatever the Socratic idealism, but one who will not come to this conclusion that the supreme, pure, good, from whom everything comes, all forms, aham savasya prabhavo, from whom all forms proceed. One who does not accept Krishna, quite simply, he's a demon. Quite simply, that is the statement. Krishna nahi mani tati daitya tari mani. This is the statement of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. The one who does not accept Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as the absolute truth, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Adi Purusha. One who does not worship Krishna according to the way that Krishna himself has revealed in Bhagavad Gita. In other words, what is that? Jnane, Gurupasya Namanja Itam, like Lord Brahma says, giving up all mental speculation and simply engaging oneself in devotional service. The one who fails to do this, Daitya. Daitya Tarima. He's to be known as a demon. So, when that knowledge is not established in society, then the demons, they flourish. So Krishna, as we were explaining in the previous class, Krishna reserves the right to not reveal himself to people who refuse to surrender. Aham prakasha sarvasya, yoga maya samadhi. His yoga maya pushes them away. Yoga maya actually means the spiritual nature. They may even come to the threshold of spiritual understanding, as Socrates did, and other mystic philosophers did. They had some insight into the light, into the Brahma-Jyoti, and they had some understanding how the forms of this world emanate from that light. There is that statement in Vedanta Sutra, and it is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita also, that the material energy, material nature, what is that? Jati. Anyway, there's some statement from Vedanta Sutra that she takes her birth in light, in Jyoti. That is also confirmed in Brahma Samhita, that all the universes, they appear out of the Jyoti, the Brahma Jyoti. So, by mental speculation, one may begin to understand that, how forms proceed out of the light of Brahman. But this same light of Brahman, the Yogamaya potency, pushes them away, pushes them back into the material world. Because mudoyam namita, they're mudas actually. They did not surrender to Krishna. Avajananti mam muda, manusham tamamash. They cannot understand Krishna's personal form. So Yogamaya Samadhi, she pushes them away. And this is in a nutshell, the history of the development of Western philosophy. They were able to come to a very, very high point of speculative understanding, the world of forms and so on. But then Yogamaya pushed them away, go back down to the material nature. So, therefore, Srila Prabhupada said, when he was once asked in a challenging way, by an Indian no less, in India, Pandal program, he was asked, what about Western philosophy? You are preaching that Krishna consciousness is the complete knowledge or the end knowledge for the human being. But what about Western philosophy? What Western philosophy has accomplished? How is that included in Krishna consciousness? Srila Prabhupada's very flat reply was, there is no Western philosophy. Because this Western philosophy, for all it may have attained, failed to come to this point of understanding Krishna. Because those Western philosophers were more or less all mudas, asses. And so they're disqualified. But the Vaisnavas know that the absolute truth, the supreme truth, the pure form of all goodness, from whom all other forms emanate, is Govinda. Govinda Krishna, and Govinda means he likes cows. As we have heard explained here. Krishna likes cows. In the spiritual world, there are Surabhi cows, Kamadeva cows. And Krishna's Gopal, he's herding these cows. So to establish the actual connection between this world and the so-called ideal world, or transcendental world of Krishna, then here we must protect the cows, not eat them, and philosophize while chewing on flesh. I remember a godbrother of mine telling me about how he was preaching to one very intellectual young lady somewhere, college student. And she was intellectual, quoting different philosophers. But while they were talking, I think he was distributing books or something. He met this lady in a parking lot somewhere. And so while she was talking all these high words, she was chewing on a hamburger. Or not even a hamburger, it was some piece of meat. And he was noticing how veins from within the flesh were stuck between her teeth. She was talking philosophy at the same time. So, this is not philosophy. This is not acceptable. This is jada vidya. Bhaktivinoda Thakur calls this jada, knowledge of dead things. So, the consequences of real philosophy are seen here. If one is a real philosopher, then he has to act in a philosophical way. And that means protecting cows, protecting women, protecting children, protecting old people, and protecting the Brahmins. This is the solemn duty of a God-conscious king, Raja Rishi, like Maharaj Parikshit, Maharaj Yudhisthira. So nowadays we can actually see very graphically Srila Prabhupada's statement come to life that there is no philosophy in the Western civilization. Because what is going on? Cows are being killed and eaten. I mean, maybe Ajit Prabhu will confirm, when we were on the Radha Damodar party in Berkeley, California, we used to go out, Vishnu Jana Maharaj and Tamal Krishna Maharaj, and Radha Damodar deities in front of UCal Berkeley. One of them, I guess, was the main entrance, and we'd have kirtan, distribute prasad and preach. So, some envious, demoniac, so-called Christians, they came to harass the devotees. They were envious of our preaching. So, on the one side of the entrance, there we were chanting. And they gathered on the other side with their guitars. And they started chanting. And what was their song? I'll never forget it. Praise the Lord and eat the cow. I forgot the melodies, but those were the words to the song. Praise the Lord and eat the cow. So, this is just demonic. It's simply demonic song. And rather than protect women, their program is to turn women into prostitutes. And rather than to protect children, their program is to kill these children in the womb. Rather to protect old people, their program is to shut them up, and they would also like to kill them. Actually, there are already some doctors. One famous doctor in Michigan, very well known, he has a traveling death van. Old people or sick people call him up, and he comes over, and they can come into his van and lay on a stretcher bed in his van, and they can inject, they put a needle in their arm or something like that, and they press a button, so they do it themselves. They press a button and then poison is injected into their vein and they die. So he's propagating this, and many people are considering him to be very humane, very compassionate. an example of the man of the future. He holds our future in his hands. We'll talk about that. And then, yes, and then when all of these demoniac programs are in place, then what is the need of the Brahmanas? Because Brahmanas are to be protected. But they want to put the Brahmanas out of their work. They want to kill them also. Actually, previously, these demoniac programs were accomplished by brute force. Right? By brute force. Just as when the Mohammedans and other leches attacked India. So by brute force, they killed cows, they raped women, they enslaved and butchered children, they killed the old people, drove them out of their homes, and they killed the Brahmanas. There was one famous plunderer named Timur Lang, who he came into North India around the year 1000. He was a descendant of Genghis Khan. Charya of our age. And he came into North India. His hobby was to build towers of severed heads of Brahmins and set them on fire. So this demoniac program used to be accomplished by brute force, but now the demons have become so-called humanistic. Now they accomplish these same ends by technocracy. It is a common thing to call governments of today democracies. And so Prabhupada explained, he gave the purport, demon crazy. That's how they're democratic. But actually the real system is technocracy. A government of technological principles. And in this world we see actually, nowadays there are only two forms of government in actual fact. There's technocracy, and in the countries which can't afford or don't have the brain power to develop a technocracy, then there's another form of government called kleptocracy, like kleptomania, simply plunder whoever gets elected. And we see this in the third world countries. They just plunder as much as they can until they're driven out of power, and then some other plunder comes in. So these are the two prominent forms of government that are visible in the modern world. So the so-called civilized part of the world, Western civilization, is technocracy. Technocracy is a tyranny of the machine. The technocrats, with their scientific so-called brahmanas, their advisors who are all material scientists, they introduce progressive, so-called progressive developments in technology, like the tractor. And they say, this is up to you. We've invented this very nice machine called tractor, and it is much more efficient than cow, than bull, for plowing the fields. Now, we don't want to force this upon you, no. But then they make propaganda, advertising, color, video, three-dimensional imaging, and so on and so forth, scientific tests, bar graphs, and so on, how efficient the tractor is. And if you use the tractor, you'll have more time for sense gratification, and for that we also have nice products, smoke cools, drink Johnny Walker, look at pornographic videos, etc. And so they bewilder the innocent populace, and they think, yes, let's try these tractors out. And gradually you see, in increments, the technocrats, as the people buy into their demoniac technology, the technocrats adjust the economy, adjust the whole culture in such a way that it is impossible after a few years to go back. It's impossible to go back. Even now they understand the dire results of technology. Just like, I'll give you an example. Around the turn of the century, the technocrats started to make propaganda in the major cities of the Western world that we have a very terrible pollution problem in our cities. What is that? Horse droppings. All the horses that are pulling the wagons and so on in the cities. They're passing stool on the streets, and this is a big problem. But we have the solution. It's called the automobile. This is exactly, I investigated this, and I've read in historical accounts that this is actually how they promoted the automobile. They said, we have a big pollution problem in the form of horse dung. But if you take the automobile, then that problem will be solved. Our cities will become much cleaner. Now, 100 years later, everyone can see what is the result of automobile exhaust. But there's no way back. There's no way back, because this is the tyranny of the machine. These demons are very, very clever. So they promote machines in the name of saving people time for sense gratification. But even in this, they're simply enslaving people. They're enslaving them to the addictive products of illicit activities, bringing them more and more under their control. I once read an interesting book analyzing Swedish society, by the way, and all of this so-called Swedish liberalism promoting free sex and all of this kind of thing. It is also a very, very clever way of bringing people under control, making people docile, making people, so to speak, like cows to be slaughtered. So, and then promoting machines, then they promote so-called equal rights for women, that women should also be able to use our machines, but they have to stop being women. They have to also become demons. And then when women start using machines, that also increases the opportunity for illicit sex, as in the office, the modern business offices. You have women on the computer, women on the fax machine, secretaries doing this and that. And there is so much illicit sex because of the mixing of male and female. Actually, Prabhupada explained that the whole purpose of this invention of newer and newer machines is simply to promote illicit sex. He said these demons, the fertile brains of the demons, are conceiving of the next machine, just to attract women, just to show their expertise. So, in one sense, this is a whole program for just seducing women and promoting illicit sex in society. And what is the result of illicit sex? Of course, conception. So now they have machines to take care of that too. Who wants these babies in the way? They say, we have to get on with operating our machines. So we can't be distracted by too many babies. So they have machines for sucking the babies out of the uterus. They come flying out down the tube into a glass jar with a big splat of blood. It's a fact. How they do it. And the old people, they're too old to work the machines. So they should be gotten rid of. Also in a very nice technological manner. And then, finally, what is there left for the Brahmins to do? Because Brahmins are not technologists, they're spiritualists. But when society becomes completely inundated by technocracy, then there's nothing left for the Brahmins to do. So get out, keep out of here. Go starve somewhere. We don't want you. Just like in the kingdom of Mahi-Ravana, Ravana's brother, the kingdom, undersea world kingdom. So his city was a great fortress of concentric walls. There was one wall after another. And finally there was the inner palace of the king and his great generals. So Hanuman, because Mahi-Ravana, it's a very interesting, very thrilling account how Mahi-Ravana entered into Hanuman's tail fort. Hanuman had made a fort out of his tail because Vibhishana, when they had come to the shore of Lanka, Vibhishana warned Hanuman that there is great danger from these Rakshasas, not in a direct fight, not in a face-to-face fight. They have no chance. We will annihilate them. But at night, these demons are very, very tricky. They have mystic powers, and we have to protect Ram and Lakshman from being abducted, just like people are abducted today, like flying saucers. So Vibhishana had a fear that something like that might happen to Ram and Lakshman. So Hanuman made a tail fort. He stretched his tail and coiled it into a tower. This tower went up beyond Brahmaloka. And Ram and Lakshman were kept not within the inner circle of the coil, as you might think, but within the tail itself. They entered Hanuman's ear. They were inside the tail with a big troop of Vanara soldiers. So Ravan, he didn't know what to do. So he called for his brother, Mahiravan. And Mahiravan asked, "What do you want?" And Ravana said, "I'm having trouble. Tonight at midnight I will offer them to Goddess Kali in my undersea kingdom, and I will bring you their blood in a pot. And you can mix it with wine and drink it." And Ravana said, "This is a brother. Not like that rascal Vibhishana." And then they embraced. And then Mahiravana, he came with two mystic associates, powerful demoniac mystic yogis, and asked them to reconnoiter, to investigate this tail fort of Hanuman. So one of them, he just came near in an invisible form and looked around. He saw the huge tail fort. He saw Hanuman was there. Hanuman was circling around his own tail fort in one direction. Vibhishana was circling in the other. This way they were guarding. And this demon, he returned and said, "This is too much for me. I'm sorry." So then the other demon said, "Just watch me." So he went. And then he thought, "I'll go into the tail fort from the top." So he flew up higher and higher and higher. Finally he got to Brahmaloka, as high as one could go. And he saw the tail fort went higher. So, and he thought, all right. So then he went back down to the bottom. And he lifted. He inserted his fingers between two coils, and he lifted. And Hanuman felt this. So Hanuman allowed these two coils to separate a bit. It was by Hanuman's allowance that it happened. But the demon, of course, thought it was because he was so strong. See? So then he inserted his head in between the two coils, and Hanuman crushed them together again. And he was stuck. And inside the inner circle of the tail fort, there were Vanara soldiers. So they began to pull his nose and twist his ears and poke his eyes. Finally they took their sword. They cut his face off. He returned to Mahiravana with no face. He couldn't even explain what happened. There was no lips or tongue left, no mouth, just a bloody mess. So then Mahiravana, he thought, well, I must do this myself. So he took the form of Vibhishana, and he waited for Vibhishana and Hanuman on their circuitous route to separate when they're back to back. And then he ran up from behind. He was invisible. Then he took a visible form looking just like Vibhishana. He ran up behind Hanuman and said, "Hanuman, Hanuman! Oh, Vibhishana, why have you come back?" "Because there's danger. I sense that there's danger. You must let me enter your ear." So then this false Vibhishana entered, and he managed to kidnap Ram and Lakshman. So then, we have to condense the story very much. So then, Hanuman pursued Mahiravana to his undersea kingdom, and he managed to penetrate that kingdom, and he managed to smash all the outer walls and kill all the, it's described, millions of Rakshasa soldiers on top of these walls. And he killed them all. And finally, he came to that last wall, beyond which there were the inner quarters of Mahiravana and his top generals. So, not to come to the point I wanted to make about machines. So in front of the entrance to the inner region, the inner realm of the kingdom, there was a great machine, a kind of computer, which would detect if someone entering the innermost realm had any enmity to Mahirava. If that person bore any ill will in his heart to Mahirava, immediately there was a needle on a meter. It would register. Ding! An alarm would go off. So Hanuman saw this. So he was behind a tree and he was on the edge of the forest and wondering what his next step should be. And there wasn't much time left. It was nearing midnight. So now inside, Mahiravan was preparing for the sacrifice. So he had a sister named Duratandi, who he was keeping in prison. Why was he keeping her in prison? Because she had a son named Nilamega. And when this son was born, there was a voice from the sky saying, he will inherit the kingdom when Mahiravan dies, or when Mahiravan is killed. When this came to Mahiravan's attention, he didn't like it. He thought this could be some grounds for revolution against me. So immediately imprisoned Duratandi and Nilamega. But Nilamega had a particular benediction that any yajna for which she had collected the water, any yajna which used water, in other words, that she had collected, would be a success. So he wanted his yajna of sacrificing Ram and Lakshman to Goddess Kali to be a success. So he ordered guards to take Duratandi to a tank, a pond, just outside the gate, just a little beyond the gate of his inner quarters, to gather water in a pot. And Hanuman was behind a tree just near that pond. So as she was gathering water, Hanuman could hear her. She was lamenting bitterly. This rascal Mahiravana, he's such a demon. He's imprisoned me and my son, and now he wants to kill Ram and Lakshman. So as soon as Hanuman heard this, he spoke to her in such a way that the guards couldn't hear. And so she explained her plight. So then Hanuman said, let us become allies. I will kill your demoniac brother. Yes, very good. So then he took the form of a mango leaf, which was kept on top of the pot of water, because this is considered to be very auspicious. Water gathered for a sacrifice in a pot should be covered by a mango leaf. So he took the form of a mango leaf. And then, as they were re-entering the gate of the city, that meter, suddenly the needle went right to the end. And the guards, they stopped Duratandi. They said, wait a minute. We know you don't like Mahiravana, but your degree of enmity only goes up to 30. This went all the way over to 100%. What's happening here? And she said, I don't know. And they said, what's in this pot? And they looked inside. They picked up the lotus leaf, looked at, or the mango leaf, looked, ordinary leaf, looked in the water. Nothing was there. So they said, all right, let's try this again. Maybe there's something wrong with the machine. Even the great Rakshasas with the best technologies, they have technical problems sometimes. So they took her back, like in the airport. You have to go through that detector. It goes off, and they say, go back through. So they made her go back through. And this time the machine broke. The needle swung over, and nuts and bolts came out, springs came out, the whole thing flew into pieces. So then the demons were greatly alarmed. They were looking at each other. What's going on? What's happening? And then suddenly Hanuman assumed his real form. The lotus feet became mighty Hanuman. He was laughing at them. And then he took all their heads together and crushed them. Then he entered. And it's a very nice description of what he did in there. There was Mahiravan's palace and temple. There were 10 other palaces around with his 10 generals. And at this time, the generals were sitting, great Rakshasa demons, were sitting in their homes with their wives. And they were gazing into the eyes of their wives were gazing into their husband's eyes. And the husband was saying, your face is as beautiful as the moon. And the wives are saying, your face is as handsome as the sun. So Hanuman stretched out his tail, and the tail went in through the door or window of each palace and wrapped around them, crushed them together into a pulp, one after the other. So quickly. He dispatched the generals. And then he fought with Mahiravana. That's a whole wonderful story in itself. Anyway, the end of it was that Mahiravana was killed in a very wonderful way. And Hanuman called just that because Mahiravana was killed, so by his power, this whole wonderful city under the sea was being held together, and the sea was being kept out. So when Mahiravana died, then this barrier between the city and the sea began to crack. So Hanuman said, "Ascend my shoulders," and Rama and Lakshmana got on his shoulders and he took them out. So this is Vaisnava. This is wonderful, wonderful illustrative pastime. That Vaisnavas are not technocrats, technologists, but they will use the machines of the demons in order to notify the demons that your end is at hand. That is exactly what is going on in ISKCON. ISKCON is also using the technology of the demons, just as here there is so much technology for producing books. But the purpose of these books is simply to put the demons on notice that your days are numbered. Your influence in this world is rapidly coming to an end. This is how Hanuman engaged that machine. He actually said to Duratandi, before he made himself a lotus leaf, he said, "Let's have some fun with these demons." He just wanted to make this machine work in such a way that the demons would become alarmed. And then he would kill them. So, yes, this, as Srila Prabhupada says, this is the ecstasy of the Vaishnava. Kill the demons. This is real philosophy. In fact, this is philosophy. Kill the demons. And anything that falls short of that is not philosophy. Maybe mysticism, but mysticism is mystic, it's unclear. That still gives room to the demons to do their mischief. So Vaishnava philosophy means the end of the demoniac influence in this world. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Are there any questions?
About Socrates, where did he get his information from? Speculate all this?
No, Srila Prabhupada said he must have had previous contact with Vedic knowledge in a previous birth.
But there was no kind of
Perhaps that too. There was a cultural connection between Greece and India in those days. There was known, actually, one of Socrates' great man disciples, in the line, the so-called line, Plato, Aristotle, there was Plotinus. Plotinus is said, there is some historical evidence that he actually received personal knowledge from Romulus. Anything else? Yes?
That son of Mahiravana's sister, he was supposed to take over the kingdom when Mahiravana was killed. So what happened? The whole kingdom was flooded by water.
Mahiravana's undersea kingdom was very vast. It was a vast network of tunnels, some of which went under Brazil, under South America. The tunnels are still there. It's actually been investigated in modern times. I read some report on that. They said that under South America there's a network of tunnels, some of which are big enough to park an airplane in. They're so huge. And in these tunnels they found great, very huge, oversized swords made of solid gold, golden helmets and breastplates. And many times too big for an ordinary human being to wear, but they were stored. So this Nilamega became king of that region. And from that culture evolved. This Aztec, Inca, Maya culture is actually a very distant derivation. It was definitely demoniac. Prabhupada said Vedic culture in the mode of ignorance. But there is evidence of some Vedic background to those cultures. But they were performing human sacrifices. The Aztecs were very famous for that. Any other questions? Yes?
Said that through the cracks of wrong understanding of philosophy of humans. And is that also applicable to individuals, to our own cracks?
Yes. Yes, in Bhagavad Gita, chapter, what is that? Tad-dudyas taratmanas tad-nishtas tad-parayanas tad-shanti atmana avritam jnanam yudhutta kalva. So there Lord Krishna says that when one completely engages his buddhi, his intelligence, his mind, atmanas, nishta, his faith, and tad-parayana, he makes his full shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord. So this way, when he completely surrenders to the Lord, then all dirty things in the heart are cleansed away, and he makes progress. So he proceeds to the final goal. Yes, to the transcendental position. So, kalmasha, this word is used. Kalmasha, Srila Prabhupada translates as misgivings in the word for word. Kalmasha. Kalmasha also means dirty things in the heart, impurities in the heart. So, to the degree that we have dirty things in our heart, these bija, sins, seeds of sin in the heart, to that degree, our knowledge, avritam jnanam etina, our understanding of real philosophy, in other words, Krishna consciousness, is obscured. So, and also to the degree that we have these dirty things in the heart, we can be taken advantage of, be exploited by demoniac influence. In this age of Kali, the demoniac influence is, it's very apparent. And it's proceeding from the subtle platform. That is also quite apparent. I'm actually thinking right now of the reports. There are many reports around the world, actually, especially young people, young children, having memories. Sometimes these memories are uncovered by hypnosis, and other times they're just spontaneously remembered in counseling. They have memories of what is called satanic ritual abuse. And at first, therapists were taking this very seriously. That there must be a wave of Satanism through our society, in which parents are actually taking their children to these covens, these gatherings of witches, where blood sacrifices are performed. So that is also there, that is also going on, but not to the degree that these memories indicate. It seems that this is some kind of subtle phenomenon, because investigations show that many times, perhaps most times, these memories cannot be borne out as being actual facts, that these things actually happen to these children, but they're remembering these things. And it's very widespread, and how can it be explained? If, children in New York, Los Angeles, London, other cities, major cities, without having any connection to one another, how is it that they're all remembering this? So obviously something is happening on the subtle platform. Something is going on, in which these children are being influenced by very, very demoniac manifestations. Because they're kids, 5 years old, and they're somehow in their minds are playing the images, the scenes of sacrifice of babies and all kinds of perverted sex activities, and other such terrible things. How can a child of 5, 6, 7 years old even conceive of this? But these things are somehow appearing in the minds, en masse. I just read that there's an institute that's been formed in, I think, Washington, D.C., to analyze and somehow treat this FMS, it's called, false memory syndrome. It's considered a big problem. So this is a testimonial that there's something happening. When we speak of demons influencing modern man, it's no joke. It's not just some extrapolation. Because there are bad men in this world doing bad things, so they're demons. It's not like that. Of course, they're also demons. That's true. But these demons are being manipulated by demons that are even more terrifying, beyond the threshold of our physical perception. And that is becoming more and more evidential. Actually, the mass media, global mass media, these satellite transmissions of news and entertainment, this is all coming out of the subtle realm. It's obvious. And it is seducing people into more and more demoniac conceptions. Interesting.
Do you think that they also try to take advantage of weakness in the body's or memory of this?
Yes, actually, I didn't complete my point. My point was is that to the degree that we have these dark spots in our heart, these weaknesses for sinful activities, to that degree we can be subject to demonic influence, subtle influences. Also gross. If one has these contaminations in the heart, then if he goes into the town on some mission for Krishna, and his senses happen to come in contact with some very lewd picture or lewd scene. Lewd means dirty, licentious, obscene. These things are being, and as this culture degrades, these things are just becoming more and more promoted. I mean, being GBC of the Benelux, I have ample experience in Amsterdam, which is one of the great centers of demonic agriculture. When one drives into Amsterdam, one has to brace oneself, actually brace yourself for the advertising, because the advertising is pornographic. You see, what you can see only inside of sex shops or whatever in other cities, you see right on the billboard in Amsterdam, advertising different things. For instance, they promote themselves. Amsterdam, the city fathers promote itself, or the city, as the gay capital of Europe, homosexual capital of Europe. And they have blatant advertising promoting it. That come to Amsterdam if you're a homosexual or a lesbian, come to our city for a good time. So these images are being projected in people's minds. So if we have corresponding weaknesses in the heart, then we can be affected by that. But also, apart from the gross manifestation, the subtle influences there. So what the cure has been explained by Lord Krishna. Tad buddhyas tadatmanas tatnishtas tatparayas. One must engage his intelligence fully in Krishna's service, give his mind over to Krishna's control, place his full faith at Krishna's lotus feet, and surrender to Krishna completely. Take full shelter of the Lord. Then gachanti apuna avatam jnana nirvutta kalmasa. Then by jnana, by surrendering to Krishna, jnana dipena, Lord Krishna says, I become the torchlight of knowledge from the heart. So then jnana is pure transcendental knowledge is ignited, and all the dirty things in the heart are destroyed. So then there is no more crack for demons to enter into. Yes?
Is there also a way to counteract this religious purity when they are here?
Counteract.
Yeah, to protect and counteract it. It's just already fully to Krishna.
Well, you have to chant. That is the example shown by Srila Haridas Thakur. Maya Devi herself. Not only did the prostitute Chintamani come to him, but later on, Maya Devi herself came to Haridas Thakur. And she is able to seduce even Lord Brahma. But Haridas Thakur was interested in Lord Brahma. Pastime. That's why that point is made. That is, Lord Brahma, he could have been seduced by Maya Devi. But as Haridas Thakur, the Namacharya, by chanting the holy name of the Lord, with such determination, Maya Devi surrendered to him, became his disciple. Yes.
How does one control this technology? Because there's always people who have frugal minds, and even if this whole thing is being destroyed in the industrial world, still there will be knowledge, like electricity will always be available. I think the problem is that once it's invented, it will always be there. And then there will always be men who will strive for more and more and more. And this,
Yes. Well, you see, the word... Okay.
and these people don't really seem to be influenced by a group of super demons somewhere. It's just their
Yeah.
thing.
Well, the word technology, interestingly enough, comes from a Greek root. The Greek word for carpenter. Actually, it even goes back to Sanskrit. I forgot the Sanskrit. Technai in Greek, I forgot. Sanskrit is also saying tak something. I don't remember. But, and that word also in Sanskrit refers to one who works with wood. So this is Shudra knowledge. This is the province of the Shudras. In Vedic culture, the Shudras were given, they had that kind of brain. So, yes, they're given the facility to utilize it. But in a very limited and very directed way. Just like you mentioned electricity. So it's been shown that in ancient Babylon or something, they had batteries. They used them for gold plating. So that's a very nice ability, a very nice skill in Vedic culture, in terms of Vedic culture, gold plating. So then this technology was used for those purposes that are in harmony with service to the Lord. So the skill itself is a neutral thing. It can be used in Krishna service by the Shudras. Prabhupada also, he also confirmed, someone was telling Srila Prabhupada that in ancient Greece, some great temples were built by these cyclopses, were like some kind of rakshasa with one eye in the forehead. And they had been engaged to build big temples. And Prabhupada, he confirmed that. He said, yes, that also happened in Vedic culture. Maya Vaisnava was sometimes engaged. He was engaged by the Pandavas to build their assembly house. The demons, this type of knowledge is actually the knowledge of the demons in the underworld. And it manifests in human society among the Shudras, because they're the lowest, they're closest to the more ignorant. So it's the business of the Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas to direct the Shudras in a constructive way. Otherwise, if that knowledge is just allowed to expand unlimitedly, then its demoniac features become manifest. The Vedic culture was much more advanced. We actually, the word technology is not appropriate in describing the science of Vedic culture. That is the science of the demigods, which is not a machine culture, not a machine science. It's a science of harnessing the very principles of material nature as controlled by the demigods themselves, because they're actually the controllers. The machine technology is an attempt by demons to imitate the demigods by doing it artificially. But the demigods actually have invested in them control of the material elements by the Lord himself. So in Vedic culture, that science was utilized by the Brahmanas. The Brahmanas had the, shall we say, channel. I hate to use these modern words because they have their own implications, but it's the word that comes to mind. So. The Brahmanas had an open channel to the demigods by the means of yajna. So it was on this science, the science of the Devas, that Vedic culture was established. All right. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Bhagavatam Ki Jai.